to another reaction, and today on this reaction, guys, we're going to be checking out another Watch Mojo video called Top 10 Worst Superhero Shows. Okay, this should be interesting. I'm wondering what's going to be on it. Let's check it out. Thank you for hitting that play button. You're going to get your entertainment, or you're going to get my legit reaction, as always. And I will see you. We're going to talk about this at the end. But let's check this out. Okay. So, top 10 worst superhero shows. Let's do it. Booyah. Now.
Let's get started on that drink.
The man of... Oh my God.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today, we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst superhero shows.
You will shoot me no more.
For this list, we'll be looking at the cringiest attempts at bringing heroes to the small screen. Did we miss any super duds? Let us know in the comments.
What's that?
Number 10.
Oh, is that
Iron Fist. This
wow.
Netflix show had to be tough as actual iron to withstand a knuckle sandwich of bad press. All before a single episode aired too. Although main character Danny Rand was white in the comics, audiences thought a person of color should lead a series that is focused on East Asian martial arts. Unfortunately,
that's
the
stereotyping.
first season of the show couldn't be saved with different casting.
That was stereotyping, and I disagree with everybody that was saying that. I didn't like it because the martial arts was just terrible.
And lame action made the show an even easier punching bag. Without any real redeeming qualities to speak of, Danny Rand was hit with a clean KO of fan hate. No count out needed. A stint with the Defenders paved the way to a much improved second season, but by then, it was too little, too late.
Too late.
Number 9, Manimal. This
Manimal.
Pretty much
oh my God, this
Dr.
is so horrible.
Chase is a man who can turn into animals.
Into animals.
The show doesn't get any more clever than that. Instead, its bark is constantly louder than its bite. Any attempt at drama, pathos, or wit is lost in the series' inability to embrace the campiness of its concept. That, when paired with subpar acting and a nauseously cheesy script, create a series that's better left in the kennel. Admittedly, the transformation scenes are genuinely impressive, especially for a TV program of its time. It's just a shame all that work was wasted on a show like Manimal.
Yeah.
Who's packing up the last one now?
Good. Now the girl.
Number 8. The New Fantastic Four. For someone who's supposed to be the smartest man alive, Reed Richards sure didn't think this one through. The so-called new take on the brand had animation
this the one where Herbie the robot,
downright
they couldn't have
dialogue, and they
couldn't have Johnny Storm.
Easier to laugh at the show than with it.
You must capture that robot and bring him to me.
I must capture that robot and bring him to you.
It had no charm, no wit, and certainly no fun. The fact that the series didn't even secure the rights to all of the Fantastic Four is the perfect illustration of its shortcomings. That's right. Instead of Human Torch, there's the robotic
It was Herbie the robot. Herbie the robot.
The newest member of the group.
But and that was overall, this soulless experiment is better left.
Oh my God, look at Magneto. It's terrible.
Number 7, The Cape.
Now wait a minute.
Heroes wear capes, then the opposite.
Now wait a minute. The cape had potential.
a
I don't
former
like
cop
this.
who vows
This-
to take on a corrupt organization through the power of rudimentary cape illusions. Seriously.
It was.
The concept
It wasn't
sounds like
bad.
a parody, and not even a very good one. Unfortunately, the show refuses to indulge in any bit of fun, even as the story veers off into the absurd. Suffice it to say, it didn't get to 6 seasons and a movie. In fact, it didn't even get to finish its original
They
production.
didn't finish the
The
season.
tape was hung
If I
up
don't-
on NBC's website for its final episode, ensuring a quick and merciful retirement into obscurity. Number 6, Blade.
Oh,
Giving
man.
this iconic vampire hunter his own show isn't
It
a
was-
bad idea. Instead,
it wasn't a
this
bad
project
idea.
went wrong by way
I
of its
just
network,
couldn't-
Spike TV, who had never made a scripted program before. That presumably
Right.
explains why the show indulges every single superhero cliche under the sun, or in this case, the moon.
Where you shipping the bodies?
Detroit.
Who's taking possession?
Van Skyver. Marcus Van Skyver.
Sticky was not the right actor to play Blade.
Okay. You can go.
It didn't help matters that the show tried to play it straight, which just didn't work when the dialogue was this corny. The tonal inconsistency ruined any attempts at continuity with the films, especially since no
Yup.
actor could match Wesley Snipes in the title role. After the cult hit success of the movie franchise, it's safe to say this wasn't what anyone wanted from Blade.
Let it go.
Number 5, Ninja Turtles: The
Oh
Next
yes,
Mutation.
god damn
After
this
just
movie.
one
I hate
episode,
this show.
It's all too obvious why this is, so far, the only live-action Turtles series ever.
Come watch Leo turn
Yes.
his noodle into strudel.
Without even mentioning how cheesy it is, there's simply no excuse for replacing the gang's iconic supporting cast. Especially since, instead, they introduced a new female turtle with no discernible personality at all. Really, the only thing Venus does is make April and Casey's absence all the more apparent.
A
I agree.
reconciliation with one's enemies is often the first step toward true enlightenment.
Even Shredder himself gets pushed to the side in favor of the overly silly Dragon Lord.
How do the
Yeah.
turtles always know where we're going to be?
But perhaps the show's most damning sin is that the turtles barely use their signature weapons. Clearly,
Yep.
this misfire fundamentally misunderstood
is
the brand.
based- this
and the
is probably
result
because
is
of
the
Fox.
series as slow as actual turtles. Number 4, Flash Gordon. It's hard to think of any franchise that could
I don't
recover from
think
a
I
reboot
watched this Flash
bad.
Gordon.
But almost
was on
impressively,
Sci-Fi, right?
It wasn't just hardcore fans who were disappointed with this modern interpretation. Almost every single review across the board agreed that the first few episodes were downright toxic.
That's Steve, aka Flash Gordon, triple marathon winner. Show some respect.
Fine. He gets in, you pay.
To put that into perspective, it was considered one of the worst shows of the year, period.
I never
Even
watched
its
this
most
one,
ardent
so
supporters
but
couldn't defend it from that much vitriol.
I think it was on the Sci-Fi
allegedly
Channel,
got
though.
much better as the season went on, but by then, Flash Gordon had already crash-landed in infamy. The only mercy is that it lived up to its name and was gone in a flash.
Birds of Prey better be on this shit.
Number 3, the Marvel Superheroes. This takes the idea of a faithful adaptation a bit too far. After all, being comics accurate is one thing, but putting comic panels into a soulless slideshow is something else entirely.
Someone's got to warn the world about the sleepers. Someone's got to find a way to stop them.
Honestly, it's a stretch to even call it animated, or a TV show at all. It's lazy, it's boring, and its rapid pace doesn't even do its source material justice. Outside of some horrid voice acting and very limited quote-unquote animation, There's nothing this show does that the original work doesn't do better.
I would not have put this on there because A, it's the 60s, so it's just relax, man.
Don't! Stand back!
If the plan was to make a half-hour advertisement for comic books, then this was a resounding success.
I must obey you. I have triumphed! He's completely at my mercy!
Number 2. Tattooed teenage
Oh my
alien
God!
fighters from Beverly Hills.
Oh my God! I remember this show.
Before. A group
This
of
show was
teenagers with
terrible.
attitude are chosen by a mystical entity to suit up and do battle with cheesy monsters. Except for this one, you subtract the charm, strip away any likable characters, and you're left with tattooed teenage alien fighters.
She's gone!
What are we gonna do?
I've got to check this out. That's enough for me. I'm out of here.
Wait, they might need our help.
Its title is by far the most unique thing about it, but it can't even live up to those expectations, let alone the better shows it's clearly trying to
I remember
emulate.
this. This
Instead,
was terrible.
The Power Rangers ripoff serves
Yeah,
as the
that's what it was.
lowest common denominator of superhero stories.
Amazing! Look at me! Boy, if I had this body for the beach, I'd be set!
This would take years of working out.
Its biggest offense is that it's just not entertaining, at least not in the way it was supposed to be. Before we continue, number 1, Inhumans.
Oh my God, the
fact that the series
Inhumans.
had the same
Yo, they
showrunner
should have
as
put
Iron
Birds of
Fist
Prey up on
should
this.
tell you everything you
Yeah,
need
this
to know.
this was
There
terrible.
must have been a serious echo in the writer's room, since this suffers from many of the same issues: dull storylines, weak characters, and a distinct lack of spectacle. Except, it's all the worse here because Inhumans has the potential to be one of Marvel's best properties.
Exactly,
Clearly someone
and,
understood that, since the first episodes were screened in theaters. Unfortunately, instead of an 8-hour blockbuster, this was obviously a budget program in desperate need of a few rewrites.
Stagnation or revolution? As you might surmise, there really was no choice at all.
As far as snooze fests go, precious few have as much wasted potential as Inhumans.
Come on! Where's the fighting?
Did you enjoy the...
Alright, there was a lot of things off of that list that they could have put on there. They could have taken out the animated stuff. Birds of Prey should have been up on there because that was a terrible show. Let's see what else. Jesus, what else? There were some other shows up there that could have been there. Look, let's start with the Inhumans first. Inhumans should have stayed what it was meant to be, a movie property. And hopefully someday we still will get a Inhuman, because I want to see the Inhumans on the big screen, not the small screen. That was just terrible to have. Because look, we got to see Black Bolt in some shape or form in the costume, and it looked beautiful. Okay, even if it was CGI, but it was still done with respect. So yes, the Mandible, yes, that was a terrible show. The funniest thing about that was like when he would turn into these animals, his eyes would get all big, and then he would start going. He would just start breathing really heavy, and then all of a sudden he start turning into. I guess he had to look at the animal. I couldn't remember all of it, but he had to look at the animal, and then he would turn into. It was just weird. Yes, the new Fantastic Four show was terrible. How you not have Fantastic Four without Johnny Storm? My man Johnny Storm, come on. How you not gonna have him? But you put Herbie the Robot. Like, that was terrible. Iron Fist being up there, yes, that was god awful. Yes. they put the cape up there. I beg to differ on the cape to some degree. The cape had potential, and I think a lot of people just looked at it as a Batman ripoff. Wrong. It was the cape. More to me was more of an homage, somewhat to the Shadow, in a sense, and not just Batman. But I didn't hate it. Yeah, there were parts of it, like the acting was a little bit like, ugh, come on, like get better. Like, I'll agree with that. But it had so much potential to be more than what it was. I like the concept. You know, here is a cop that's framed for I think it was murder or so, and he had to go underground to keep his family safe, and he took on the identity of his kid's favorite superhero, the Cape. I actually like that. That was where, and things like that. And he was trained by this circus, but they were criminals themselves. So it was like, I was like, okay, I get it. What was the other one that I had issues with? I could definitely, yeah, tattooed, what was it called again? I can't remember what it was called. It was just terrible. Tattooed teenage fighters, whatever they were called, teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills, was terrible. That was terrible. At that point in time, this is 1994, 1995. At that time, there was so many Power Ranger wannabes that was coming out. I remember this. I remember VR Troopers. I remember what was another one? I remember. Well, I wouldn't say Beetle Mass Rider, because that was Beetleborgs and Kamen Rider. So, but still, yes, that was terrible. The acting on that was atrocious. That came out in '94. I was 12 when that was coming out, and I was just like, this shit's stupid. Like, it was stupid. It made no sense. Like, did you hear that? Oh, it would take years to get a body like this. Like, what the stupidness. And I'm glad they put Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles New Mutation. Ugh. I'm a Turtles fan for life. But even I can admit when there are some things from the IP of the Turtles that is terrible. New Mutation is terrible. And of course, those first two movies that were produced by Michael Bay, no. Those are three terrible defactors for the Turtles franchise. That was terrible. I hated how they looked. I hated that. I was like, where's April? Where's Casey? No Shredder. All this, it was just, I think Shredder was in one episode and then he got pushed aside. I'm like, you do not take out Shredder from the Turtles. That is their quintessential villain. What are you doing? I still have my headphones on. What are you doing? Like, why would you do that? It was terrible. It was garbage. And yes, oh yes, people will say, well, you know, Venus is the true first female turtle. Most of us fans would say, well, Venus is cool. Venus, when we look at now the fifth turtle now, Jenica, she's far better than Venus. And then they just recently reintroduced Venus into the IDW comic. But at the same time, she was terrible. And then I know they did the Power Rangers Turtles crossover, and I was just like, oh god, like it's cringy. It's so cringy. It's so cringy and so just, it was terrible. And the last one I want to talk about is the Blade. Yes, the Blade that starred on Spike TV at the time. Ooh, yes, as the narrator said, at the time had no episodic TV shows. Now, me being a big Blade fan, Eric Brooks, the Daywalker, I'm like, oh, this should be good. You know, I for one was not looking at it as comparing it to what Wesley did. I was able to take I was like, you know what? Yes. You know, I'm not gonna let. But when I saw former Onyx member Sticky Fingers playing Blade, I was like, huh? Like, huh? There were far better actors to play a version of Eric Brooks than him. And his dialogue was just terrible. It was terrible. And I was just like, and once again, I did not even try to say, okay, where's this taking place? Is this taking place after the first movie or so? It was just terrible. It just, I was just like, and the problem, I watched it to the end. You know, I'm like, I'm one of those people that if I start something, no matter what, no matter I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna finish it. I'm one of those people that finishes what I started. I don't stop something. So even at, like, for example, even though I watched Flash from start to finish, and there are some seasons that are just cringy, but I watched them all. I don't drop something so easily. I'll watch it through. I like finishing where I started. But yes, this was terrible. And so yeah, it was very terrible. It was just garbage. I've said Blade, but if I wouldn't be me if I didn't go to one of my top 10 favorite Marvel characters of all time, Iron Fist. The Iron Fist Netflix series was terrible. It was terrible, and it had nothing to do with them staying true to the source material of Daniel Rand Kai, that's his full name, being white. Because when I was hearing everybody say, oh, it should have been an Asian person playing the role, I was literally like, so you're stereotyping an Asian. The stereotype is all Asians know martial arts. I hated that. And I got into good debates, got into some, not heated, but very reasonable debates with people online. I'm like, okay, why should Danny Rand be Asian? And most of them would just say, well, because he's more in tune with the Asian mythos and everything like that. So I started putting, well, there are characters like Elektra, she's Greek, she's a martial artist, she's a Konoichi. Why? What makes her so different? I would bring up points and I'm like, that doesn't make a point. But yeah, the ones that just pissed me off was like, yeah, because he's Asian, because it should be an Asian actor. Why? Because all Asians know martial art, right? That's a stereotype. And I thought we were trying to get away from that. We were trying to get away from that. If that character is Asian from the start, okay. For example, Shang-Chi. He was Asian from the start, so it's not a stereotype. Perfect. If Shang-Chi was if they made Shang-Chi, let's say, Spanish, I'll be like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? But it wasn't just that. With Finn Jones, he just did not. I did not see Danny Rand in him. And number two, the fight choreography. Oh my God! It looked as if they trained for like 3 weeks and that was it. It was terrible. The choreograph. There was a fight in there. I think Danny fought like some drunken style fighter, and it was garbage. The best actor in there was Christina Hendrick, who played Colleen Wing. She lived up to being what she was, and she lived up into somewhat being what that character. The Colleen Wing is biracial. She is half Japanese and half white, I believe, if I can remember correctly. Yeah. But the point is, like, it was just terrible. And yeah, when he came on Defenders, and then when they got to season 2, it was just too late. It really was. It was just like a little too late. You should have did this from the get-go. It was terrible. It was the weakest out of the original run. So when Marvel, and I say when, because they will, I guarantee they're going to bring him back. They need to really look at this character. Also look at it, and in my opinion, look at an actor, hire an actor who is a legit martial artist that can play this role. And I've been saying it from day one, and I'll continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. Hire Christian Howard to play this character. He can help choreograph the movie. He can help choreograph the fight scene. He's a martial artist. He even played Iron Fist. Well, he played Orson Randall the previous Iron Fist before Danny, and he made it look so much better. There's no excuse for that kind of stuff anymore. It really isn't. But this list was okay, guys, and it could have been better. Birds of Prey should have been up on there. There's a couple other ones, but yeah, I would have taken off all the cartoon stuff because, like I said, the cartoons, it was cartoons. At that time, kids of the 70s, they didn't know no better, and so did kids of the 60s. My dad watched that Marvel hour, Marvel superhero hour. That was 66. My dad was 9 years old. 9 years old. So yeah, he was 9 years old when that. My mom was 10. Yeah. So yeah. So it is what it is. That'll work. I mean, you're looking at that, but I'm like, this is 66. There was some bad 66 cartoons too. Like, not all of the Hanna-Barbera stuff was great. So yeah, it is what it is. But you guys tell me in the comment section below. Do you agree with this list? Do you agree? Do you what say you, my pack? What are some of your worst superhero TV shows? I'm looking forward to hearing your comments, and always, thank you for watching. As always, this is M.V.K, your alpha, saying peace, with love, stay tuned, keep it real, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time.